Welcome to the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, your guide to motorsports sponsorship. Here's your host, Josh Weesey.
All right, welcome to this episode of the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, which is powered by 4Wheel Parts. I'm excited today because we are bringing Nate Mclean back on the show. He was last featured on episode 123, so it's been a little while since we've chatted, a little more than a year. There's a lot of things that he did throughout this year that changed his content game, and it was just really cool adventure. So the story was awesome, but then what he did with the story was pretty cool too. Now, before we get in the show with Nate, there's a couple things I want to talk to you about. First is 4Wheel Parts. They have this deal going on right now. It's called New Year, New Rig, and basically if you head over to their website, you can check out all their deals they got going on. They change the deals up regularly, but they always have something cool. They've got these custom packages that are set up, wheels, tires, leveling kits. They're starting at about $1,950, which honestly is pretty good if considering how much wheels and tires typically cost. So all sorts of cool things on there. Check it out, 4wheelparts.com, or if you ever got questions about it, hit me up as well, and I can help guide you through that process. Couple other things to talk about here. If you are a first-time guest, please head over to iTunes or Apple Podcasts and leave that rating and review. And if you are a returning guest, please head over to iTunes or Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and review. I say this in every show. It's very important to me. That's why I bring it up all the time. So if you want to give the feedback, that's one great way to do that. You can also shoot me an email, josh@sponsoredriderclubpodcast.com. And it doesn't matter what podcast player platform you use, subscribe. That's the best way to ensure that you get the new shows downloaded direct to your phone automatically. All right, beyond that, there's a couple of awesome companies that I need to thank right now. First is AMSOIL. They provide amazing lubrication products, and they're a company that runs on freedom. You can find out more at amsoil.com/rider. SolderWeld, they produce game-changing metal bonding technology, and they're ready to rescue your race. TopThePodium.com, experts in motorsport sponsorship, website creation, and resume building. And then Crash Addict Industries, they provide human protection and extreme racing products. I also want to shout out some of our other partners, MBRP, HMK USA, Studboy Traction, and High Octane Coffee. Speaking of High Octane Coffee, the owner, Joe Sylvester, is about to come on in a second here and give you a little tidbit of sponsorship advice in our High Octane Coffee marketing tune-up. Then right after that, we'll hop into the episode with Nate Mclean.
What's up, guys? Joe Sylvester here with your High Octane Coffee marketing tune-up of the day. Today I want to talk about your brand, your personal brand, and the type of fans that you have. Your fans, your followers on social media, those are the customers for your sponsors. So you need to think about companies and brands that align with your personality, your personal image, and your personal brand. Don't approach companies that you don't really use in their product, you don't understand, or it doesn't fit with your image. Only approach companies that are going to align with not only your brand, but also your fans and your followers. You know, if your fans are very, blue collar America, pickup trucks, cowboy boots, maybe a wine type of crowd isn't really going to be a good sponsor for you. That's going to be a different type of demographic. Same as, a flower shop for me. I'm a very abrasive personality. I have a certain type, of fans and followers on my social media. So I always try to work with brands and companies that align with my image and the people that associate with me.
Thanks for having me back. It's good to be back. I'm Nate Mclean, 29, live in West Michigan. Lived in West Michigan my whole life and kind of been around off-road, dirt bikes, the dunes, kind of all my life, and it's kind of grown. It's kind of all funneled the last couple of years down into pretty much dunes is kind of what fills up all my free time in the summer. Any bit of time I'm pretty much at the dunes, and it's kind of down to a truck that I have now, a 68 pickup that I've built, and kind of the progression of just chasing this hobby and having fun doing this stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. And, last time you were on the show, and for people who are listening, if you want to go back and get Nate's full background, episode 123, you can find it on the website or anywhere you get your podcast at. But we talked a lot about your dirt bike background and your racing with that. We talked about your truck build and stuff like that. But yeah, I think we're going to spend more time in this show talking about your truck and some of the things you've been doing from a content standpoint. But you've also been super busy this past year. A lot of things that you were kind of like preparing for last December, you did them this year. So you had a really busy season. And that's kind of what I want to talk about here in Heat 2 is just all the stuff that you've been up to, all your current adventures, what you're super excited about. Let's start walking through those things.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so you kind of hit it right on the head of last time we talked. I was kind of right at the beginning of a lot of things. I would say, I guess, coming from West Michigan, I'm kind of a first-generation off-roader. In my family, there's not anyone in my family that does this, so kind of everything for me is hands-on and just getting involved. And so the first step was building the truck, and then I spent a lot of time at the Silver Lake Sand Dunes, which is local to me, driving the thing, constantly working on it, progressing it, and got it to a level that then I felt it was time to go exploring. And, I've got a lot of things that I want to go out and experience and see and do. And so, yeah, I left then last December and went out west for the first time ever. And, just me and my wife in our pickup and trailer just flat towed it out. I think that trip ended up being, it was like 4,900 miles total in 2 weeks. And yeah, we just a bunch of places I wanted to go. We went to Glamis for the first time, went up to Pismo after that, wound up in Laughlin for Rage at the River race, and stopped back in Oklahoma on the way back after that. So that was like about a 2.5 week long trip, and met a lot of people kind of, through social media. A lot of social media kind of really allowed that trip to happen and give me the confidence to kind of do that. A relationship I have with like Dune Therapy, which kind of started over kind of meeting through Instagram and just being in the Dune community. Actually went on that trip, was able to meet Nate from Dune Therapy the first time. He actually kind of took care of the whole, Glamis camping situation. Pretty much gave me a destination and an address to show up to, and he kind of took care of all the camping permits and just all the stuff that somebody like me for coming from Michigan wouldn't have any clue where to get it or what to do. So that type of stuff was super helpful. And I think like Dune and Destroy was out there too. There's someone that helped support me. So it was cool. That was kind of like it was a cool trip to get out there and meet those guys and actually put faces to names and actually get to hang out and, do something that, those are companies and myself are all passionate about, dunes and off-road and the community around it. So after that, went up to Pismo, spent some time up there. That was just something I always wanted to get up there. It seemed to me, it's just something that looking for pictures always remind me of Silver Lake, being on the water. And that was super cool going up there. And then a lot of the trip was really around a main goal. A goal I have eventually someday is to race my truck actually at Rage at the River in Laughlin. So that was my first off-road race. We went to that, got to experience it. I ended up driving my truck around on the track. I stuck around.
Oh, that's
I think
cool.
We were there from like Thursday to Monday, and I waited for everyone to peace out on Monday morning. And then literally, I think we watched the last RV pull out of the pits, and we hopped on the track and spent a couple hours there driving around. And, a lot of it, like I said, is me coming from West Michigan. I've never, up until that point, I had never driven my truck on anything besides beach sand.
Yeah.
So, that was the first time, that time actually in Laughlin there. That was the first time on, some hard, I guess, desert terrain, rocks out there. And, it was a very cool learning experience. That was what a lot of that trip was about, was to kind of go out there and open my eyes and see some things and be able to come back with some info and kind of come up with a game plan of, I guess, trying to kind of making a realistic timeline of actually making it happen, of getting out there, because it's a big undertaking to even just to get out there on a fun trip, let alone trying to get out there and actually race and be competitive. At the end of the day, I don't want to go out there and just, I don't know, get on the track. If I'm going to put the effort in, I want to go out there because I think I'm competitive. So
yeah,
that was a big step of kind of, I guess, getting out there and just getting my feet wet. So that was a kind of a really, after that trip, it kind of really opened my eyes to, I was pretty surprised the truck made it through the whole trip. That was a really big thing.
That's a lot.
More than anything. I mean, I think I did 3 or 4 days in Glamis, all day long on the truck. We went to Pismo. I did 3 days in Pismo running on it. We went to Laughlin. I drove it around for 4 days in Laughlin. And then I went to Oklahoma and I drove it for 3 days in Oklahoma Dune. So
yeah, that's a lot.
And I did zero maintenance to the thing.
Wow.
The whole entire time. So that was probably the best part of the trip for me. I was super pumped bringing that thing home on a trailer, running and driving, no issues. That was a big part of the success of the trip. So yeah, driving all across the country. Yeah.
Plus your tow vehicle, right? You didn't have any issues with that, so that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's kind of. Once it's all said and done, we can look back on it and it's a great time. But there definitely was stressful moment. I mean, you're halfway across the country and you're, in a pickup truck with a trailer towing, another truck, and there's just so many things that can go wrong.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, for me it was like you kind of get home and get back in the driveway and it's just like, man, I don't know if I should go buy a lottery ticket right now or what, but that trip, I actually, out of those almost 5,000 miles, the only thing I had an issue with was I blew a trailer tire. Oh,
you got to do that though. That's like a rule.
Yeah, 40 miles from home.
Oh my gosh, seriously.
Blew a trailer tire. It was raining out. It was pretty nasty.
Yeah, it has to. That's part of the rules too. If you take a trailer,
December.
It has to either be raining or snowing, and you have to blow your tire at some point in the trip. It's just.
Yep.
If not, it's not really
miles
considered
to home,
a trip.
Though, didn't even care. Changed it in the rain.
Yeah.
Got all wet. It was like, you know what?
Whatever.
In another hour and be home, showering and sleeping in my own bed.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. You and I were talking a little bit about snowmobiling in the pre-interview before we started recording, and it's not very often where you get back from a snowmobile trip and you're like, that was easy. It's always like there's something that breaks, or snowmobiles they are, for as advanced as they've become over the years, they break. All of them break, and the maintenance is ridiculous on them all the time. And every snowmobile trailer blows tires, and it's always a hassle. But there are some trips where you just go up, you pound out miles for 3-4 days, and you get home and you're like, that was pretty nice.
Yep.
That was.
I don't know
nice.
if for me it was. Hopefully it was the over prepared that every single spare part I have for my truck, I brought it with me.
That's true.
So I had a spare because at the end of the day, I'm somebody that I'm a machinist for my job. I work, 5 days a week, 6 days. A lot of times I only get 2 to 3 weeks of vacation a year.
Mm-hmm.
So like I saved all my vacation for the whole year for that trip. I was pretty much all in on that trip.
Yeah.
Where like I brought a spare trans, I brought a spare rear end, I brought everything besides the motor. I pretty much had.
That's awesome.
That I could replace. And some people was like, "Oh, you're bringing it too much." I was like, I don't know. At the end of the day, I think I took like 15 or 16 days off work. I said, all I know is I don't got to be back to work until this date.
Right.
So if I'm out west and I blow a trans in my truck and I got a couple of days to switch one and I got one, I'm doing it. So luckily I didn't have. I was hoping maybe I brought all that stuff and I didn't have to deal with it. So
yeah, the best luck that I ever had snowmobiling, like a streak of good luck, is I had a spare snowmobile. That's best case scenario. I don't have a spare truck. No, that's a little harder to. That's a little harder to handle. Yeah, I had and my old snowmobile, which was worth like nothing at the time. I was like, I'm just gonna hold on to this, and I got a new one, or a newer one, and I just took my old one with me, and it was like, well, everybody else's sled broke, and they got to ride my spare. But yeah, mine didn't break, and I was like, okay, hey, if I gotta have $1,000 snowmobile sitting around as a spare to keep my good one running, then maybe that's what I need to do. Of course, then I sold it after that.
Yep.
And I had constant issues. Wow, it's something. Connections are being made right now in my head. Maybe I need to buy an old snowmobile again. But no, fortunately, since then I have gotten a different snowmobile, and this one has been so far quite bulletproof when I get to use it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that is a big part of having fun and doing these types of things. Of there's mistakes happen, or things get overlooked, or parts wear out and break, and it is what it is. And that was something pretty much on the back of my mind, being just at the end of the day, being that far away from home and being that invested. Yeah. Once we made it to Pismo and the truck was still running, that was the halfway point of the trip. After, I literally was like, now I don't care.
Right.
I got enough out of the miles out here.
Yep.
Whatever happens. Whatever day we get is an extra day. And, and that was kind of that was nice, getting that out of the way and getting some, getting Glamis, getting Pismo, getting at least something. Because then I was like, all right, now if we go home, we got some places.
Yeah, definitely. We were flowing so naturally with the show. I never took a break to thank the sponsors for this podcast. So I'm going to break into the show right now and do just that. And then we'll hop back into the rest of the show with Nate Mclean. Let's talk about your truck for a minute. You can count on it to haul your vehicle and your gear to the track or to the trailhead, but I bet you never think about the motor oil. Here's why you should. Your oil is the only thing preventing your engine from wearing out and breaking down. To keep your truck running strong, look for an oil with added wear protection. Like, for example, AMSOIL Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil. It delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than is required by the leading industry standard. It provides the next level protection today's demanding engines need to keep running for years and to keep effortlessly towing your ride to the track. Go to AMSOIL.com/rider to find out more. Make the switch to AMSOIL Synthetic Motor Oil today to keep your vehicle running great. 2 questions I get continuously about this show and about sponsorship is, do I need my own website and do I need a resume? The answer is, in my opinion, yes to both, and that's why we partner with TopThePodium.com. Now, if you want to see an example of what a professional website and what a professional resume looks like, you gotta check out TopThePodium.com. They did my website. The Sponsored Rider Club Podcast website is SponsoredRiderClubPodcast.com. That was created by Jeff Vanistall of TopThePodium.com. I think it's awesome. I get a lot of good feedback about it. And there's a number of other websites out there that Jeff has produced that are just phenomenal. So I think it's important in this world of social media where you have control of your content. That's what a website does. It gives you full control. We don't know what Facebook's going to do sometimes. We don't know what Instagram's going to do. We don't know what Twitter's going to do. So if we don't have that central location to direct people and house our content, there is some risk that we incur. So I strongly recommend getting a website, talking to TopThePodium.com. And then the resume, again, is massive. And if you want to stand out, get it done professionally. And honestly, it is one of the best ways to step up your game and present yourself in the best way possible.
Hey guys, George Hamill here to talk about SolderWeld's new off-road repair kit. If you're a racer of any type or an off-road enthusiast like myself, you're going to want to take a close look at this product that bonds metal on the spot. SolderWeld has combined some of their most elite products into one small kit that fits perfectly under your seat or strapped to a roll cage and allows you to make some insane fixes anywhere you go. How many of us have been in a race or out on the trail and got a rock chip in a radiator or brake line? We have seen a top-tier desert race team at the 2019 Mint 400 taken out by a simple rock to the radiator. If they had an off-road repair kit on board, they could have been back up and running in just minutes. The kit includes everything you need to work on dirty aluminum, stainless steel, copper, and many other metals. SolderWeld's cutting-edge technology allows you to make these fixes with extremely low heat and incredibly high tensile strength, leaving you a lasting fix every time. Don't be that guy broke down on the side of the trail. Get your off-road repair kit today, and your friends will thank you.
Safety is our overriding priority. I hear it all the time, but I have to ask myself, is it though? Is that the first thing we think of? Is that the first thing you think of? Over the past couple of years, we've seen the performance of production UTVs increase, somewhere around 350%. That means these machines give us a lot more opportunity to have fun and win races, but it also, unfortunately, gives us new opportunities to crash. And that's why we have partnered with Crash Addict Industries. The owner, Travis Pointer, became very accustomed to crashing early in his career. He saw it as inevitable, and he set out to make the process safer. With a passion for racing, welding, and engineering, Crash Addict Industries now produces full cage and other protection systems intentionally designed to protect you during an accident on the track. They also offer a line of human protection products through their vendors. Do this for me at this point. If you're racing with a stock cage right now, please go check out CrashAddict.com and at least just see what they have to offer. Even if you choose to go with a different company, please make safety your overriding priority. What else happened on your trips?
So on the way back home, I did go through Oklahoma to Little Sahara. That was the first time I've been through there, but that was a short trip. I was only there for a night in one day, and I met up with a guy that I had been talking about on Instagram, Joe. He's Scrappin' Valley Joe on Instagram, but met up with him, and we were running around. He's got a Beamed Ranger, and it was just me and him in the middle of Oklahoma dunes, completely by ourselves, ripping around. And then came back home, and I got home sometime early January, so about this time last year. And then kind of just did some general maintenance on the truck. Nothing too crazy. Just changed some things. I think, changed like the gear ratio up in the truck, and nothing too crazy. Just kind of stuck it in the garage. I went through a house move actually, so I guess that's kind of a big thing. Me and my wife decided to move to Silver Lake full time.
Yep.
So I live 2 miles from the entrance from the dunes now, and it really kind of came down to a decision of, for kind of like the last 3 years, up until this point, I was living I probably lived 45 minutes from the dunes, and we vacation here every weekend. We had a camper, we were towing up here all the time, and it just kind of, looking at it, actually made more sense to just move up here and live up here and drive a little bit further to work during the week. And then it makes the weekends a whole lot easier. We have dogs too that we were always trying to figure out schedules and things, and didn't want to leave the dog at home all day. And so we did that this spring and sold our house, and that took up a big chunk of the spring, but I did slip away and get back down to Oklahoma.
Oh, nice.
Me and Joe, I went back down there for an event. They have Sand Outlaws.
Okay.
And Wilkie was out at that event. He came.
Nice.
So Wilkie was down there. My buddy, Joe was down there, and he's got a brother, Mark. We were down there. I think there was only there was a pre-runner class, and there was only 3 of us. It was Mark, Joe, and myself, and then everything else is buggies. But still, it was a super cool event, super fun. Oklahoma for me is like 16-hour drive still, or tow. So I mean, it's still a good day and a half to get down there. But it's a lot of fun, and that trip, that's something I'm planning on doing again this year because of how much fun it was. It's a good spring trip. It's like end of April, beginning of May. So I plan on doing that again. Probably our dunes are open at that point, but it's still there might be snow on the dunes. It might snow on you while you're out there. I'm a pretty fair weather duner. I wait for the good days. So that's kind of we'll see how that that might be something I might try to do every year from now on, is just get down there in the spring and see those guys. So that's Mark and Joe have a little, I guess, it's sand sisters. So they hooked me up, same kind of like Dune Therapy and Dune to Destroy out in Glamis. They hooked me up with a spot when I come down there, pretty much take care of me,
Nice.
get me all set up. So all I gotta do is worry about getting the truck out and playing. So that's a huge help for, just when like I said, 16 hours away, trying to get all your stuff down there, trying to keep it from breaking, and having dudes like those locals down there that just hook me up and tell me where to be is, that's awesome. And that helps out a ton. So definitely looking at planning, getting back at that. After that pretty much got into the year. Once I got moved up here and settled, I played a lot more around last year with kind of getting the truck. The truck is still in a lot of progressions. The truck's still not even really finished. I don't have an interior in the thing. The back half isn't finished. I've been too busy driving the thing all the time to ever work on it. But I figure if it runs and drives, I work on it in the winters, and summers I'm about driving it. So I did work a lot, being that I'm living up here now. That's kind of what I moved up here for. So a lot of during the week I was going out in the dunes, and then that kind of turned into, I was always bringing the camera out there and filming stuff, and it just I ended up getting a lot more footage. And then I've always been pretty interested in kind of like media and film and, edits that you might see on YouTube and different stuff like that. And I've always kind of made stuff throughout like high school and just tinkered. And it's something that by the beginning of summer, I decided I wanted to, pursue a little bit more and try to get actually better at and, develop a skill in it. So that's something I kind of started doing more and still trying to progress. And I don't get too much time to sit down. That stuff takes a lot of time. So I've actually just recently been kind of going back through a lot of stuff that I've filmed in the last year and been putting edits out now. And that might be something I might just continue to do from here on out. Cause, winters for me now is, I kind of am just twiddling my thumbs. I'm working on the truck a little bit here and there, but for the most part, I'm kind of sitting around waiting for the season to start. So I've been finding myself trying to work on these edits. And actually I've got, like right now I'm working on a project, Jesse Pigeon. He's a photographer, filmer, pretty local to Dunes, if you're in the Silver Lake community, you've heard his name, seen him.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of him.
Yeah. We've, the end of the year, this year, towards the fall, spent a lot of days filming with him. We have a lot of footage that I'm got an idea for this. I don't know, I don't know what you'd really call it, but I'm just amateur hobbyist that does this for fun. But I don't know. I'm always trying to progress and just push myself and see what I can do. And so I have an idea for this kind of edit and this way I want it to come across. So he helped me get a lot of footage for that, and that's something I'm working on right now. And really have no clue when it's going to get done because I know what I want it to look like, and I want to get it to that point and then release it. So that's something I'm really excited about, and that's something I think towards the future of living here. I've got a few more ideas of down that avenue of stuff I want to do, and that's kind of what I think 2019 for me was really kind of a lot of that. Of I've always had my hands in a lot of things. I've always been very interested in pretty much too many things to actually be able to concentrate on any of them really well. And in this last year, I've really kind of cut out a lot of the extra stuff that I've been doing, and it's really kind of down to the filming, the movie editing, driving the truck, on the truck. It kind of all, I guess, started coming into this lifestyle that my wife and I are kind of pursuing. And this has been a dream of mine to live in Silver Lake ever since I was 14. When I was 14, I knew I was going to live here. So kind of 2019. We're here. It took me 15 years, but I'm finally here. And now that I'm here, it's kind of doing the stuff that I always planned I would do. It's just kind of weird to actually be here doing it. But
yeah, no, that's cool, man.
Yeah, I think I got you involved in one of the ideas I had this summer, and it didn't come across. It's something I want to continue in for the next summer, but something that is really a fun part of the truck is getting people involved and seeing like people's expressions and, giving people an experience that not a lot of people get to experience in these vehicles and what they can do. And I try to capture that, and it's something I try to do better, and I still failed at this. I feel for if I gave out 5 rides, I filmed one person, and then out of those videos, about half of those videos didn't turn out. So.
Oh yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about on this show is, one, that was the highlight of your summer, was taking me for a ride. I know you didn't talk about it earlier, and I get it.
I was saving that for the
climax. The finale. But no, that just for everybody that doesn't know, I picked up a Ford Raptor this year, and as soon as I got it, it was like that weekend I went out and tested at the dunes, and then you showed up there, and we had kind of planned to meet up and go for a ride in your truck, and then you ruined my truck for me. Like, my truck was super cool for like 2 hours, and then I got into yours. I was like, well, might as well trash this piece of garbage that I got here, and because it's just not, I don't know how to explain it to everybody. If you haven't been in a truck like this, it's just bumps don't exist. That's all. The only thing I can do to describe it. It's just that they don't. It's not a factor anymore. You just drive.
Yeah,
I know it takes a lot of work to get there.
The only I mean, I've got some time into it. It's not. They don't all necessarily work like that, and I still feel I've got a lot of room. That's where the exciting thing for me is, like, I give you a ride, but for me, like, the amount of seat time I have driving that truck, like, I know the thing can be better, and I know what I need to do to make it better. It's just a matter of time and finances and continuing to progress it. But that's the excitement for me, is like when you rode it, the first time you rode in my truck, that's the 9th complete shock valve rebuild and change I've done in that truck.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I actually, like, I have their internal bypass shocks that I've machined, inner sleeves them. Half the parts inside my shocks are all parts that I've machined and just made them myself.
Yeah.
And just trying stuff or reading stuff online on forums and just trying it. And if it doesn't work, take it out and try it again. Yeah. I'm just that type of person of tinkering, but I would describe it as like, it's kind of like going to like an amusement park or a theme park, and it's like a roller coaster, like strapping into a roller coaster that's not really on rails, but you feel invincible. You have a 5-point harness on, so you feel safe. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, you do feel invincible. Like, your confidence goes way up for a minute. I didn't say anything to you, but I'm like, why don't you just jump there? Like, go do that. It doesn't matter. Why don't you go faster? Like, why don't you go? It does not matter. At first, for the first, like, 20 to 30 seconds, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm dead. Like, I'm going to die, and then, like, oh, look at that bump there. I was like, oh, wait. Did you hit that bump? I thought there was a bump there. I thought there was like 45 bumps here, actually, and I didn't feel any of them. But long story short, my original point before I started going on about...
Yeah, sorry, I got you on a tangent.
No, I started the tangent. But my original point was this: it's kind of cool what you did with me, and you did it with a bunch of other people. Is you basically gave us the camera and said, hey, just take some shots. I don't care. Just point it around, turn it every now and then. No big deal. Just enjoy it. And almost everybody at some point, right, turns it towards their face and captures some of the reactions. And it was really cool in the video because it seemed like very genuine. And, I want to talk about that on the show because we ask people all the time, like, what do you do to create better content, and what do you do to promote your sponsors, and what do you do to increase your reach of your audience. And this is one of those examples, and it was very natural. And the video you put together, I thought was done very well. You had music, and you timed certain reactions of people to the music really, really well. And
yeah, I'm glad you picked that up on that.
Yeah,
that's something that's where the editing side for me, like that's the stuff. I don't know if people notice that or not, but like that's the fun for me is like I pick a song that I don't know. It's like when I make those edits, like I think a general process is like I might be at work the night before and I'll listen to music that like I spend the whole night at work listening to music that I'll have maybe a rough draft of an idea, or I know the footage that I have on the computer and I listen to music, and then like something maybe hits every once in a while, not all the time, but a song will hit and it's just like, man, I think that'd be perfect. And I'll come straight home and you just start getting clips that sync up, with people's expressions and different things that happen. And like, that's the really fun side. In that video, I felt really came out that way because, I was able to use people's reactions and faces and, with music. And, and it was kind of an eye-opening thing, even to myself. It was, like you said, it was me kind of going like, okay, I've stuck the camera on the front of my truck. And that's really what this has come down to is me just going to the dunes so many times. And I have so many videos of the same shots.
Oh yeah.
So then I come home and I go, okay, you gotta do something different. Cause I have so many videos on my computer that they all look like they're the same day, but they're different days.
Right.
So that's kind of where that came around. And it got to a point I was like, man, it's like me driving and getting people in. I'm always seeing these reactions that people have. And it's something that's really cool a lot of the time. It's a really like just organic thing of getting to share something like that with people. So that was kind of, what I wanted to do. And that's kind of where I was saying of, it was an idea that I executed and I was pretty happy with it. But then at the same time of like, I looked at it, I was like, okay, for next year, I could recreate this video and I could do it a lot better. I learned a lot through that process, and exactly of, get some people involved too. I think sometimes like you get a video like that. I know for myself, like when I started and got this thing done, I used to scour like YouTube and Instagram looking for anybody that was at the dunes that wasn't filming me, but maybe I'd see like my truck zip in the background. Oh man, there I am. I see my truck. That's so sweet that I'm on this video. And that's something I think I've definitely started picking up, more on is, like you said, I wanted to give people like that GoPro. I was like, here, just hold on to this thing and film this experience and, kind of how you see it fit. It's a pretty cool thing to share that and be able to do that type of stuff.
Definitely. I just thought of something. Have you seen those drones that will follow your vehicle around? I don't know if they'd allow that. Oh, you've got one?
Yeah. So
do they allow that at the dunes? Or is that?
But I go to the dunes in the morning when I'm by myself, and I got my truck flying the drone around behind me.
Oh, that's perfect. I didn't know you had that. That is awesome.
Yeah, no, I don't get it out. It's one of those things of like, I still get, for me, I don't know. I'm just a big kid having fun in a sandbox most of the time. So most of the time, I still get way too giddy. The only time I ever seem to get footage is if I go out there and there's nobody out there.
Yeah.
But the moment I run into people, then you get talking, and before you know it, you're giving a ride. And then I come home and I park the thing in the garage, and I have this backpack I carry in my bag that I keep like all my camera stuff in. And I shut the truck all down, and then I look at my bag, and it busts out a single camera, and I was just in the dunes for 4 hours.
Yep.
And just did. But it's one of those things of, I don't know. I look at it as a good balance of, there's times for it of when I'm trying to accomplish, like a video of, getting people in there. And then there's other times where it's just, you're enjoying it so much that it's just better to be in the moment.
Yep. Yeah.
Kind of thing, but
I completely agree with that. That's one of the challenges I think with sponsorship in general is, you can get so spun up about getting the right content or making the right connections that sometimes you might miss out on the fun parts of whatever you're doing, whether it's racing or doing kind of the content creation and, brand ambassador stuff, you can get so caught up in that's, the business side of things, you forget to have fun. There was a while I used to really get into the videos. I'd make videos of just everything, whatever I thought was cool at the time. I'd make a video about it. And then there was a period of time, I actually stopped. I put all my cameras away. I didn't do anything for a long time because I felt like I was spending more time setting the cameras up and planning all these things than actually doing whatever it was I was trying to do. The challenge though is that I think after I took a break for a while, I realized that I did like the editing to an extent. I did like, the content creation afterwards too. So I'm getting back into that stuff again because it is a lot of fun. And cameras, even just in the 2 or 3 year break that I took, they've gotten a lot better. And editing software has gotten better. And I'm excited to kind of learn that stuff again. But that kind of made me think of something else that I thought of earlier when you were talking about all these people that you've met with Instagram or through Instagram. Because that's the cool side of social media. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with social media. There's some things about it that I just can't stand. But then there's other elements that are just awesome. Like the majority of the people that I interact with now, outside of like work, it ends up being people that I've met through this podcast, through social media. When I go on trips, places, it's with people that I met through social media. It's strange. But that's the cool part about it.
Yeah.
That's the cool part about what we do, especially in the motorsports world. Maybe other business areas are like this too, but I don't think so. Like if people who are really into shoes, I don't think shoe people can go to like a shoe convention.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they
community. The off-road,
yeah.
It definitely seems, I would say, like going out west and meeting people and just kind of talking and being out there, it does kind of like the circle starts to shrink.
Yeah.
From when when I was building my truck, when my truck started out as a couple twos, I remember staring at it and going like, oh, this thing's never going to be done. I don't even know what I'm doing with this thing in my garage. To where I'm at now, where it's like, yeah, I'm trying to plan trips and like do these just different things that I never even thought were possible.
Yeah. And
then I look back on it, and a lot of it is that's kind of my viewpoint, and that's kind of how I use Instagram. Is I look at it as a tool that allows me to do my hobby and have fun, and that's kind of the way I use it. I kind of, especially in the off season, I kind of go in spurts. I'm not really doing much trucking. My truck's sitting in the garage. I don't have, I'm more focusing on, like these longer edit videos I'm trying to do and trying to put out, just stuff that I'm putting more time into and I think is cooler. I think that's the progression of like the editing stuff of, I've kind of gotten to the point. It's like, okay, I've done these types of videos. Now I want to get to this next level of video. So I need to, I'm watching YouTube tutorial videos on how to use the software better.
Mm-hmm.
And, and it's just, that is the fun side of it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't remember how I was segueing that to relate it to. So
I don't know either, but it was amazing.
Oh man, I knew that was going to happen at some point. I was going to get going on a tangent and not be able to bring it back. But
well, if it makes you feel any better, I didn't notice, so I think it's all good. But
that last few sentences, I was just waiting for it to come back, and it didn't. I had to give
up. No, it's all good. No, I was actually going to ask you something that I should have asked earlier, and I kind of forgot to, but it's always important to bring it up. Is and you mentioned a couple folks already here, but who are some of your sponsors, your partners, the people that you're working with?
Oh yeah, I would say the last time we talked, at that point, I still hadn't met Nate and the guys from Dune and Destroy and Dune Therapy yet, but they were definitely helping me on the trip. They had sent me some gear and different stuff like that. So I'm still representing Dune Therapy and helping them kind to grow some product here in Michigan. It's definitely gotten to the point in the last year or two. I'm seeing a lot more hats and bumper stickers and all that type of stuff showing up in the dune. So it's
definitely
pretty cool to be a part of that and, help that, get established. They're super cool people. And
yeah, I know you have your hat, the Dune Therapy hat shows up in a lot of your videos.
Yep. Yeah. And I don't know if I do have Dune Therapy, Dune Destroy, and then Sand Sisters, and also Shreddy Life that apparel-wise all support me and my Dune stuff. So I do have apparel, and I try to represent, a mix of all of them. And those are all, that's kind of the cool thing of, I guess, what I look at what I'm doing of, like I said, I use Instagram as a tool of helping me do this hobby and have fun and, sharing it and getting out there. But, to be able to actually have like 4 apparel companies that are cool with each other, like every one of these apparel companies knows each other. A couple of them have collabs with each other on products. So, and I just, as somebody that's getting this stuff and helping represent them, I just do my best to try to, that's something I'm pretty conscious of like, hey, maybe I should throw the Dune Therapy hat on because I have, or maybe I need to throw the Dune Destroy and, just kind of, just trying to repay it in the most balanced way I guess I can. So, the Dune Therapy hat, I don't know why I picked that, but that is kind of like if I'm wearing other stuff, it's like I always go to the Dune Therapy hat.
Yeah.
I think that comes back to the, for me, like being a motocross guy, like your main sponsor is always like the hat. They're always like the hat people.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so Dune Therapy for me is like they're the first people that hit me up on Instagram way back when I was just getting going and kind of hit me up, hey, with this idea of doing stuff. So I don't know, for me the whole hat thing is kind of like that's what that kind of means to me is like they were kind of like the first ones. They've been there.
Yeah.
So I wear the hat kind of thing. So try to wear the other stuff, but those guys kind of hook it up on apparel and they kind of do their thing. Going into Dirt Fest this year, Dirt Fest for title sponsors was sponsored by Rigid Lighting and Gladiator Tires. Gladiator Tires was the main sponsor. So Gladiator sponsors actually hooked me up with 6 of their 35-inch all-terrain tires. So I run those on my truck now. And that was kind of a big thanks to Wilkie getting hooked up with his relationship with Dirt Fest and him coming to Michigan and kind of bringing, you can in the last year or two, you can really see what that's kind of done to West Michigan and bringing some of that kind of like Southern California industry kind of over here. So Gladiator, they hooked me up. They hooked a couple other guys up in West Michigan too, so I'm not the only one. So that's super cool to see. And then Rigid Lighting also, they stepped up and hooked me up. They hit me up and pretty much told me they loved the truck, thought it was cool, thought it was missing some lights. I need some lights on it.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
They hooked me up and as of right now, those are kind of the people that I'm representing and have hit me up with different things and, looking forward for the new year. The sponsorship thing, I know this is a show about sponsorship, so you want to talk about sponsorship, is sponsorship. None of these are anything I've ever like set out to do. They've all happened organically over time. And that's something that from the beginning, I always wanted that way. My view on, I guess, this new age of social media and all that is I don't really look at myself as anyone maybe worth deserving anything without putting something out there. And that's kind of where like my editing, getting the truck to the level I want to get it to is I still look at my own self as like I have a long ways to go to get to like the level I want to be at, to where I would even think about approaching companies for things. And that's just my own thing. But these things that have happened, I am very open to like these organic things that happen. And that's been and the last year has been a big year for that. And I know a lot of it did come down to kind of my ambition going out west. There was, meeting a lot of people, I don't even know, like Wilkie. I've been with Wilkie now in Michigan and Oklahoma and Nevada and California. I've run into multiple, there's a lot of kind of in that crew that when I was on that trip, run into those people. And, and like I said, he's in like the off-road world, he's a pretty good kind of ambassador, kind of lead in, and kind of trickling down. I feel like I'm just kind of one of those people that's in the trickle down effect, and I'm okay with that. And
yeah,
it's just cool to kind of see it spread out and flow. And kind of my role, I look at that as just trying to continue that in my own kind of endeavors and goals that I'm doing, but to be able to have these other people step in and say, hey, what you're doing we think is cool, and can you use it? Like the Gladiator tire thing came up because I think Blake asked me, hey, how's the tires on your truck? And I said, yeah, they're pretty weather checked and they're pretty old and they're like 40% tread. And he goes, well, you want new ones? I was like, well, yeah,
yeah.
I would like them. So, it's that stuff, that type of stuff for me is huge, because it is one of those things like I wasn't like, I don't think my old tires were unsafe, but they definitely were something I was like, man, I got to figure something out. How am I going to get tires? And if I constantly trying to progress the thing, it's, that's kind of one of those areas. So having those companies, same with lights. The reason I didn't have lights on my truck is not because I didn't want them, but it's a necessity. It's things like, well, I got 2 headlights. It works for now.
Yeah.
But to have a company, especially like Rigid, step up and actually hit someone like myself up, I'm still kind of floored at that they've done what they have for me, but that's super cool. And if it makes it, I think they make the truck look better. So hopefully, it's doing good for them as well. And that's the type of stuff that I like to, I guess, see. And like I said, I think the progression I see myself is like, there's definitely a level I've seen myself. Like I said, I think the end goal is I do want to race my truck, but maybe once I got to that point, I might need some help to get that all the way. But I don't know. I don't see myself getting ahead of the horse. I still got a lot of work to do on my own end, I think.
Well, I have a couple of quick comments to add here about Blake Wilkie and then Rigid real quick. So first, Blake, like, he's been on the show now twice, and I don't know how else to describe this. He is just a good dude. Like, he is very helpful. He was actually he was at SEMA as well, and I got to hang out with him a little bit. And he did an interview for me for my day job at Eaton, and he did an interview for me for that. And he was super busy during the whole time. He still carved out. I only needed like 5 minutes with him, and he's like, let's do 2 or 3 takes just so you got all the content you need. So he stayed there for 2 or 3 different takes. So we ended up doing like 10, 15 minutes, and he's just been very helpful, and it seems like that he's like that with everybody. He's just a nice guy. And I don't know if you would originally think that, if you think about like his upstart and how he got onto the scene, or I don't know. I just don't know if you would understand that until you meet him and get to know him. So just a shout out to Wilkie, Blake Wilkie. He is on, I don't know what numbers it is, but if you were to try to find it, definitely if you go to the website, search Wilkie. Oh, I think it was 98 was the first time he was on, and that was the most popular episode that we've ever released. And then he was on shortly after that, maybe like 50 episodes after that. So yeah, if you try to find that show, just Google him, Wilkie Sponsor Radical Podcast. It'll come up. And then that Rigid, Brett Carpenter, he's been on the show once. You may have worked with him, maybe not. But he
Brett is who actually I talked to at Rigid.
Perfect. So Brett is he's a really nice guy as well. He spent a lot of time with me at Vegas to Reno. We did an interview, but he just spent a lot of time talking with me about sponsorship in the industry. And, at SEMA, he kind of hosted an event, kind of an after hours. He called it Taco Tuesday party there, and had all the influencers. A lot of people that I've had on the show were there, and we got to hang out. And I was like, man, this is just cool. There was like 2 companies that did that in all SEMA, right? And Rigid was one of them. And
yeah, that's cool.
It's just really, really cool stuff. So I just wanted to kind of shout those 2 people out as well, because they've been helpful to me, and I just think they're good people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, for me, it's like, at the end of the day, I'm still a fan. Like, the reason, I mean, at the end, I'm obsessed with this stuff, and that's why I do this, is at the end of the day, I want to drive my truck every single day. And the experiences I've gotten to experience, kind of chasing this dream and doing it, I would definitely own up in the beginning. It was very like, the first couple of years was definitely very just like self endeavor of like, it's my truck, this is for me, blah, blah, blah. But as soon as that kind of changes very quickly, I think at least the Silver Lake community, once you get involved and you get in the community, it's like, at the end of the day, there's no real competition around it, and maybe that's why it works. But like, everybody is out to help everybody. I mean, you go to the dunes and you see so many different types of people, and you get talking, and I'm still a fan at the end of the day. I still go to the dunes, and I still will see a truck parked on the beach that I've never seen before, and I'll run up to it and check it out and be crawling all over it and figure out whose it is, and vice versa. And it's kind of in the last year, the social media account has started growing quite a bit more. I don't know. It's still kind of like I don't know. It's kind of, it's something that has happened so naturally, I guess, over time that I just kind of now look at it. I was like, man, I feel like maybe I should like actually do something with this. And now it's kind of a point of like, I don't want to say I've had my fill of fun, but I'm at a point now where I can look back and appreciate the work that I put into this. And, like I said, I remember a time, multiple times where, I almost sold this truck multiple times building it, because it was so like far impossible out of like my imagination of it actually being done to being at this stage now. And it's just like, those are, at the end of the day, it's like, I want everyone to experience this. Now, I hate seeing the guys that like get something like this going and then they can't finish it, and they don't ever get to that point of, tasting the success, getting that success moment of getting to enjoy the ride, or, and so now I look at that, and then the involvement, meeting a guy like Wilkie and seeing his role. And that's something I do at the end of the day now, is just like, if I can pump up, I see him and like, he makes me pumped. Like he makes me pumped to go, man, I need to go work on my truck. Like I should be busting ass. I'm being lazy right now. I could do way more on my own time to then get way more fun out of it. And that kind of, I think it's just a good kind of vibe to trickle down to everybody. And, if there's those people out there that are going for something, or, are trying to even figure it out, the best thing to do is just keep at it every single day. You'll figure it out eventually. I mean, if it takes you 40, 50 different ideas, like the one that will work will be the one that you need. As soon as it works, it works. So kind of, like I said, with not having really competition, it's not like we're all racers here in Michigan with the dunes. At the end of the day, everyone wants to just go to the dunes and do their thing and drive fast and hang out. So we're all the exact same people, and it's a really cool environment to be in. And it's just, like I said, it's something I've become obsessed with.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff, man. And actually, we covered pretty much everything that I wanted to cover already. So I think it's about time to wrap things up. What would be something that you really want people to remember from this show? Like, if they forgot 99% of what we talked about, what's the one thing they should take away?
I guess as far as well relating to like with sponsorships and stuff like that, and I think for myself, like a big thing that I think I've learned in this last year is maybe like coming up with a plan. And that's in like every aspect. So like I was saying with like filming and like being in the moment, maybe just I've done it enough times now, but like when I have an idea to get a film thing, it's like, I just try to keep it an agenda to like, okay, I'm going to go for 2 hours of time today and I need to get this 10 minutes worth of shot. I'll go in and get it done so that way I can enjoy the hour and 50 minutes I'm in there with the people that I'm in there with. I don't want to go in there for 2 hours and then punch out and go, okay, cool, see you guys, and then not, actually get an experience out of that. So, and that's like in that aspect of, and then even with the sponsorships, the people that have hit me up, I have had sponsors that I have turned down, that have come in organically, and just because it wasn't anything that I needed. It was something that I sat back and went, okay, what am I trying to accomplish or do here with this hobby? And, at the end of the day, it just had nothing to do with what I was trying to do. So it was, that initial, like, man, it's cool to have sponsors and get this stuff. But then at the end of the day, it was like, I don't want to have to deliver to these guys if I'm not like in it. Where the companies I represent now, it's like, I want to, if they ask me, hey, Nate, we want you to do this, we need to, I'm all about it because I'm invested in these people. And if I can't, I think that would maybe be a takeaway is, make a plan, be invested in it. And, I think having, something like that in mind is just thinking on things with a plan. Awesome. To wrap it up.
Definitely. What's the best way for people listening to connect with you?
Probably just Instagram. It's Mr. What is it? Mr. with a period, clean, 719. That's Instagram.
That's it.
I think if you search Nate Mclean, you might be able to find me too.
Yeah, I do think it comes up that way. But
I don't know how many other Nate Mcleans are out there, but
not many more that with your profile, that's for sure. Well, cool. Hey, I appreciate you connecting again. It was great being able to talk to you the first time, get your whole story, then to meet you and drive around your truck. That was pretty awesome. But hey, at this point, we got to end the show and leave you with this. Have fun and ride safe. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, which is powered by 4Wheel Parts. I want you to make sure that you are subscribed to this show, whether it's on iTunes or Google Play or Stitcher or wherever you listen to podcasts. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss upcoming guests and upcoming episodes. And then follow us on social media. We're on all of the platforms. You can find out the most content, though, on our Facebook page. That's where we do our live videos. To get some insider access to upcoming guests, you can also check out the Sponsored Rider Club on Facebook. It is a support network where you can ask questions about best practices and get feedback from our audience. A special thanks goes out to our sponsors, 4Wheel Parts, AMSOIL, SolderWeld, Bold Racing, TopThePodium.com, and Crash Addict Industries. And I also want to shout out some of our other partners, MBRP, HMK USA, Studboy Traction, and High Octane Coffee. I look forward to serving you again next week. Until then, have fun and ride safe.